Since the dawn of times, people have lived in a society, and with a society full of people, there's tricks and lies. And this has made people paranoid, and people became harder to trust. So people have a need to see what's behind everything, to doubt, to question. But sometimes they question way too much. So today we're gonna talk about the craziest movie theories of all time. This theory says that both Mary Poppins and Pennywise are the same species of supernatural creatures that feed off of human energy. Pennywise from fear and Mary Poppins from joy. There's a lot of hard evidence to back up this theory that both these creatures are correlated. Amongst them, the fact that they both target children to feed off. Both can create illusions to provoke the feelings that they feed off. Both illusions based on what's on the kids' minds. They both can float and make others float as well. They have a tendency to disappear for decades before coming out and feeding again on the same place as the first time. There is a lot of evidence to ignore it. It's not just a bunch of conspiracy bullcrap with no foundation. We have proof. So if you see a clown or an ice nanny, you should body slam them immediately. Better safe than sorry. This theory has been around for a while, and it says that all Pixar movies are connected, taking place in the same universe and telling one huge story. Each movie in a different time and a different context. And it all begins in Brave, where we see animals and objects act like humans, having consciousness and thoughts. And the character responsible for this consciousness is the witch, who will be important in a while. After years, the animals and objects started gaining more and more consciousness, creating a huge conflict between humans, animals, and objects. In The Incredibles, we see the first signs of consciousness in a machine, on the AI that Syndrome has created to kill the superheroes. That, surprise surprise, gains consciousness and rebel against him. The objects rely heavily on humans to be alive, so instead of killing them, they've made them all physically useless and dependent on the machines, as we see in WALL-E. And after humans came back from space, they, machines and animals, started repopulating Earth in harmony, and that is how monsters showed up, as we see in Monsters Inc. But they needed energy, and just like the objects, they could get energy from humans. And since humans are kind of extinct, they use the doors, which are actually time machines, to go back in time and get the energy from humans in the past. And after Monsters Inc., when Boo went back to the past, she learned how to use the doors and became the witch from Brave, trying to make a door to go back to Sully. And that's the Pixar theory. Now, imagine the amount of weed used to make that theory. And yeah, there's holes in it, like the fact that both Zoe and Coco represent the afterlife. But still, it's really interesting to think about it. This theory says that Jack in Titanic is a time traveler that went back in time to make sure the Titanic sank. Some evidence to back this up is that Jack talks about things that didn't even happen when the Titanic sank. When he meets Rose, he talks about going fishing with his dad when he was a kid on Lake Wissota, a man-made lake that didn't even exist until 1917, which couldn't have happened since the movie takes place in 1912. Other evidence is that his style doesn't resemble the 1912 style. And when he saved Rose from jumping, he was actually making sure the Titanic sank. Because if he didn't save Rose, her family would soon notice that she was missing. And after realizing that she wasn't in a boat, they would turn around to look for her in the ocean. Or at least slow down the boat and send a lifeboat. And by the time they give up and get back on course, they wouldn't hit the iceberg. I kinda like this theory, but I don't really believe in it, because I don't see why would Jack want to sink the Titanic. And about those futuristic features about Jack, I feel like they are a little something I like to call plot holes. Even though The Wizard of Oz is a kids movie, all the colors and sparkle were just a facade, concealing all the horrors behind that movie. Many actors were injured on the production for The Wizard of Oz. Buddy Ebsen, the actor originally cast for the role of Tin Man, was poisoned by the makeup they used, which was made of aluminum dust. And just a couple of days after they started filming, he was hospitalized. So they replaced him with Jack Holly, mixing the aluminum powder into a paste. He did get an infection in his right eye though. Margaret Hamilton, the Wicked Witch, got burned in one of the scenes, so they had to hurry up and remove her copper makeup so it didn't get in her wounds and get her intoxicated. An actor that played the witch's guard accidentally stepped in Toto's paw, making the dog unable to go to set for weeks. And mind you, all of that was true. Now the true theory about this movie is that an actor that played a munchkin tied himself on set, if you know what I'm saying. And he appears in one of the scenes, in the background, and made it to the final cut. But in more recent versions of the movie, we can see that it was actually a bird. But now, using my paranoid mind to its full capacity, I came to the conclusion that they just replaced the guy with the bird. This theory says that the Poltergeist movie is cursed for a variety of reasons. First, 4 cast members died shortly after the movie wrapped, including Heather O'Rourke, a child actress. And that's why people believe this movie is cursed. But one of the reasons people believe this curse exists is the mining of a Native American cemetery. Another reason is the use of real human skeletons for props in the pool scene. And just talking about this movie gives me chills.